Hello guys, welcome back my friends. I will check the flight simulator sounds right now because it doesn't work in some way, but I don't know why. So we need to check it with okay, it should be workable now. Maybe I will put it a little bit up in order to have the better view. Okay, so guys, welcome to another additional video. I just introduced myself. I'm real Boeing 737 captain, and these all my videos regarding the 737 are all educational, so take it as it is. I am not always true. Maybe I did something wrong, and because we are only the people and captains with 20,000 hours can make a mistakes or are not fully aware of some systems. So I will provide you the best information as I have and the best experience I've got with the 20 years of flying on Boeing 737. So we are currently situating at Vagar Airport. Vagar Airport is well known for in non-unpredictable condition, but with the conditions which slightly differs when you let's say via minimum unstick speed press rotate, and as you are starting off climbing, the wind suddenly changes. So this is the basically some kind of issue with this airport, but anyway, as you can see, we are on stand number 4. It's pushback stand, so we'll make a pushback. And what next? Let's jump to the cockpit, and yeah, we are going fly to Keflavik. That's another point, and we will be today discussing a little bit more about the fuel and what's the fuel procedure, or let's say how it looks like, because nowadays European Safety Agency made a big mess with the fuel and how to proper calculate the fuel, but the basic idea of the fuel is nearly the same. So it will be short flight and it will be smooth flight without any further problems. So let's jump into the cockpit, service the airplane. So as the first, we put the actions, services, and we'll start with the APU because yes, we can maintenance one and like this stuff. And on the next side of the airplane we put the catering and cabin cleaning. Okay, so that's basically okay. And yeah, we'll set the parking brake, and position lights are on steady, so captain may look at the journey tech log. There is nothing special in the hold item list, so he can put the high reflection jacket and perform the walk around. How to perform the walk around with the easiest way on Flight Simulator you can see with my previous video, or let's say my next video, which I am flying to Corfu, not Corfu, Zakynthos airport with Sky Travel, and yeah, that's it. So basically it's okay. So what we can do, we may perform the preliminary pre-flight procedure. That's okay, that's basically okay. Fine, 3 greens, overheat detection, it's okay. Fire tests, okay, fire test is okay. Always when you are performing the fire tests, please just check the fire bell, it's horning, so that means that this situation is met as well. So we have 4 bottles on the left and the right side, and 1 with the APU, so that's perfectly fine. And we are waiting for the APU and put the APU on bus. And I'm performing non-standard procedure from my previous company, and I will put as soon as possible GLI power on in order to have to provide the pressurization of the water and waste system in the airplane, because without this switch you can't do it anymore. So if you don't have this switch in on position, you can't go to toilet, you can't go wash your hands, and so on and so on. So that's basically my own procedure, and I found it a little bit better. And as we are on the AC power, like now, as you can see, we did the rest of the fire test. So wheel well is okay, and cargo fire compartment is okay. What I am doing, takeoff configuration warning, that's okay. We can go back and put the IRS on position, put like this one. EASA are okay. Mach warning, stall warning, this switch after 4 minutes, circuit breakers, documentations, and everything is on board. So basically the preliminary pre-flight procedure is done, so that's quite perfect. We can wait for a while and let's say put the numbers of passengers from the SimBrief flight planning and the number of packs. We have 133 passengers on board right now. 163 passengers on board we have, so that's okay. And our baggage will be 3.3 ton, so that means 1300 will be go here, and 2000 will be go into the aft compartment, and then we satisfy our demand. So that's okay, that's pretty fine. So what next? The next, that we have all catering loading. We have no wheelchair on board. That means that we cannot open the forward servicing door to load the wheelchair. So all the passengers are good in health condition, and we can release lavatory and potable water. Within disconnecting, we can connect the hose, and now what will be our block fuel? Let me check. Always when you are checking the minimum block fuel, check the landing weight available, and check the takeoff. Please check the your structural landing weight and structural takeoff weight, but it may differs from your performance limiting weight and performance limited takeoff weight. So in our case, we have room space of approximately 1500 kilograms additional. So that means that our minimum block fuel is 7 ton. I will put 8, and we have additional 15 minutes of holding. So 8000 kilograms of fuel, and that's it. Fuel is attaching right now. Okay, we can release the catering services. The catering services are divided. I will provide you a chart when is depicted what is the catering services and what is the pantry code. In order just to know what is the pantry code. But maybe it will be for another flight. Yes, I will skip it and we will talk a little bit more about the fuel. Okay, right now. So we may start the refueling, and Copilot will prepare airplane for let's say do the pre-flight scan procedure. So like this. It's okay, okay, okay. 1 minute was passed, so we can put engine bleed on, warm up the cabin a little bit. That's okay. And just right now our cruising level is 360, and keflaving, I guess so it's 200 approximately. I am lazy to check the charts, so it's my wrong side, but you have to always put the landing altitude as you are departing. In case you have serious troubles, you don't need to set up the panel and everything, because the airplane is smart enough and he will remember the situation. And if we are refueling, do not touch this switch. I will do it, but it's not correct procedure. Okay, so if we are refueling, do not manipulate with fuel pumps, do not manipulate with APU, and do not manipulate with engine start switch. That's basic rules with this condition. So tested 100% we have. Okay, we have RTO, a little bit low brake pressure, so we will tell to maintenance personnel. They are doing nothing with it, so just check why we have such a low pressure. During night it's quite okay condition. It should drop a little bit from brake accumulator, but anyway, as we agree with maintenance personnel, we put it into on position, and we have charged the accumulator, and parking brake is fully serviceable right now. So we will reset the fuel if there is any from previous crew. We can put 1:1.8 like this one, 1:1.5. Emergency broadcast services. This is in operative. ATCO number 1 because captain is pilot flying, and stop trim switch is on guarded position, so that's okay. What we can do basically is fill the FMC. So the FMC position initialization page. Vagar Airport, we have stand number, I guess, so stand number 4, but what I will tell you, there is nobody out here. There is nobody out here, and if we have all ground equipment removed, I will perform it without a pushback. These are non-pushback stands, these are pushback stands. So I will turn it without the pushback because I made an agreement with Vagar Airport that we are able to do so. Okay, number 4 is not in database, so we can put this one. This matches our conditions quite well, and I forget to load the SimBrief downloader, so just wait a second. And now we should have Vagar and okay, activate, execute. We have Galileo, which is Slovak company, Air Explorer, Galileo 101 right now, and we can check the med report. right over the airport. As you can see on Vagar, we have 1103 knots, so that means that we are going to Mike Yankee and DB, and departure will be from runway 12, and we have a bunch of departures, and we need to check the departure into our liking. So this is quite okay. SID, as we can see, we have to Sierra, so this is not our case, or yes, it's our case, so sorry. Me to whiskey, my coming to whiskey, but this is authorization required, so you have to be aware if your company is authorization required or not. Then we have another departure, this is for another runway. Then we have departure, which is another runway as well, another runway. This one, it's valid for us, it's again air approach, so we don't like it. And this one is again air approach, so okay, basically we should have on this airport, we should fly here with authorization required. That's no way, basically, so make it to whiskey. Okay, right now it's okay. Performance initialization page, as we said before, what is our cruising level? 360, so we put there 360. We have 7,500. Transition, we have cost index for today per flight. Our dispatcher gives us the 15, that's fine. And we have some tricky situation because our FMC reserve is 2.8, but it's pretty fine and pretty cool, but our destination alternate, it's Akureyri, and Akureyri is listed as category C airport, so it shouldn't be listed as our destination alternate airport, shouldn't be. So anyway, we put the rest of the flight plan. That means that 290 and 70 /70, and ISO deviation was plus 4 degrees. That means minus 52. And that's okay. From copilot side, now the captain will come to the cabin, say pre-flight inspection is complete, airplane is visually okay, he will perform the light test. If everything is shining and lighting like it should be, it is okay more or less, so that's fine. He will read the ATIS information, so we have runway 12 for departure. We have overcast at 2700, temperature is 11 QNH 1016, so 1006, 10006. Engine out, acceleration is 800 plus 200 or plus 300, so 1100 will be engine out, acceleration, altitude. And remember, in case of something happen, in case of something happen, we'll make it because we don't have the engine fail procedure, but it's a reasonable situation that we put it like with the right turn with the Vagar. We will follow the SID and going via this valley, because this is really the valley which is below our broken 1400, so we will keep the airplane in level mode until the sea, and then we can climb to 4000 feet, make it over the present holding position, and then we will decide it according to the nature of problem, if we are diverting to Keflavik or going to Glasgow, because with one engine inoperative, it's such a big problem to come to Vagar, and as well depends of nature of medical case on board. We will see if the Vagar airport has the hospital facility to satisfy the passengers or no. So basically that's it. Okay, so that's all about the explanation. Right now we have 8000 of kilograms, so we can put the seatbelt signs on. We can tell via PA cabin crew refueling completed, and now the captain will fill the rest. So flight directors on his side, initial climb clearance we don't have, so we put there 30,000 and 600 feet. And what is the next? The next should be departure heading is 123. Sorry, 123, and regarding we don't have any nothing, so just pre-select the NDB, which is MIGNS 337. And put it here in order to have such an information valid for us. That's quite okay. And now what we can do, we put ILS on the approach, which is cruises 111. I hope if you are watching my streams, you know what the procedure looks like and how we are tuning the radio navigation aid. But first of all, there is the Vagar, and this could be, if I look at the chart, this could be one reason how we can perform the departure. Engine out. We can go to Vagar as the first. It will be a good point, because from Vagar we can go directly to the sea. So that will be better solution. So we can put 348. And put it right over here, and 109.1 109.1. So it's on now setting 109.1. It's right over here, so that's perfect. That's no problem. Anyway, we may start boarding, so that means actions setup. We can release the fuel truck, release the maintenance van. Remember, start the refueling once the hose is disconnected. So the hose is disconnected, as you can see right now. So now we can start the boarding. Okay, so we can request next stairs. We can request passenger bus, and as soon as they are there, we can perform some some checklist because IRSs are all aligned, and both captain and first officer has pre-flight procedure completed. So the right sequence for you guys, it's preliminary for first officer, walk around for captain, then pre-flight procedure for both of the pilots, and the second one is before start procedure, then before taxi, before takeoff, after takeoff, descent, approach, landing, shutdown, secure. This is the right way how to make. Okay, they are still arriving. Oh Jesus. Okay, but anyway, we have basically no wind conditions, so I will skip this one. In order not to have it right over there. If you have the airplane overnight, it should sometimes happens that it should be the drop with the hydraulic B system, and these flaps, if you can see, these flaps are Kruger flaps. It's not a slot, it's Kruger flaps. It's something different. And these Kruger flaps are split into the two parts. And if you have the airplane overnight, it means that this Kruger flap can sometimes drop out, but it's completely normal situation, because if you put the hydraulic switches to on position and pressurize the B system, it will automatically retract back to the normal position. So this is just the just some explanation. Okay, so hurry up, start. But this is as in normal life. Now we can perform the checklist, pre-flight checklist. Oxygen tested 100%, switch 100 tested 100%, navigation transfer display switch is normal and auto position, window heat we have on position, pressurization mode selector is on auto position, flight instruments heading we have 033, and altitude is QNH 1006 and reading 300 as well on both sides. Parking brake is set, engine start levers cut off, so pre-flight checklist is completed. And yeah, we can make part of the briefing. So as we are performing it was to whiskey. I put there to whiskey, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so what is the procedure? Airport elevation, we bought no transition altitude, authorization required because it's RMP AR, we are going through the valley, RMP of 02 and radius to fix required, so we have it. Imagine that our database, FMC database, contains the radius to fix points. Contact Reykjavik when instructed by VAGA AFIS. Special authorization required by Civil Aviation Authority of Denmark. If RMP capability is lost, pilot should inform ATC as soon as possible about our alternate course. So we have minimum climb gradient up to 600 with 7%, but it's up to 600, so we can easily achieve it without any problems. Can put the 26k engines, boom, and we are out of any restrictions. So we have 250 below flight level, 100, and we have some surface wind conditions, and if we are going to the, for example, to hold over the sea right now, so our minimum sector altitude is 3000 feet, so 3000 feet we can make an holding and decide it what to do the next. So there is airplane is okay, no MLCDL, no thumbs okay, weather was checked. It's pretty fine weather, it's a little bit wind conditions, but it's overcast, so it's basically steady weather conditions. And yeah, that's it. And as we said before, we will perform it like the way that I'm still not decided if to do all the procedures with the there is nobody out here. If there is some airplane right over here, we are not allowed to perform this turn. If the airplane is somewhere over here, we are not allowed. But basically there is empty airport, and if there is no ground, let's say staff and ground technical parts right in these areas, so we will make it with the left turn and go. The taxi routing will be quite short, so we have to wait for cabin galley secured and wait for cabin galley safety demonstrations. Okay, so 163 passengers we have on board, so we can release this one. Forward compartment is loaded as well, and we need a little bit much time to aft compartment. Okay, we will see. All the stuff is moving out. I know it's a correct procedure, but I have problem with somehow on my airplanes the pushback is not working. So and it's basically 10 meters to taxi line, so I will skip it. We'll make it with 180 turn, and that's it, basically, and that's it. Okay, so the baggage loaders guys are really quick enough, so they should have some additional money into the pocket when they receive the salary. I'm really satisfied with this situation. So we have everything on board. We can perform the load sheet. Load sheet is performed, and as you can see, we have options. Only 26k and 24k is enough. I'm pretty sure we can put the flaps 5 because it's shorter runway, and trim 5.5. Runway was basically dry, so we can use dry runway conditions without any further problems. So 5.5 is set. Boom, we have speeds 142. Like now, and we can release the stairs, and we should leave in airplane in the chokes. So now all passengers are on board. The cabin crew may close the door because we are already with the headset with ground personnel, and in this type of the airports it's usually very common to get a clearance during your takeoff roll. So that means that we are not using the transponder. Anyway, we can make before start procedure. Captain, check the windows, aileron trim and 0. Check door conditions, it's okay. First officer, windows closed and locked, and fuel pumps on, hydraulic pumps on, and that's it. So we can make a before start checklist. So fuel, we have 8,000 kilograms, fuel pumps on, passenger signs are on, windows locked, MCP V2 is 142, which match with FMC conditions. Heading 1 to 3 and altitude is flight level 360. CDU pre-flight is completed, radar and RL trim is 3 and 0. Taxi and takeoff briefing is completed, mobile phone is off, so we have complete to line, and we may ask from ground for clearance to start up, and as well ask for startup clearance from Vagar AFIS, so we just let them know that we are performing starting engines. So anti-collision lights on, we put the engine start procedure, start the block time, and yeah, we can make start engine number 2. Okay, we can check the starting sequence. Okay, complete on, check the AGT within 10 seconds. It should rise, but it looks like the wet start, but no, it's starting to move, so it's okay. So starter is basically cut out. We can put isolated pack procedure, and we can perform the start engine number 1. That means that we will reset this one and put it once again, and leave it like it is. So 1, 2, 3, that's okay. 4, it's perfect. Watch the AGT, if it is rising with reasonable. So it's okay, all pressure, all temperature is okay, it's quite fine. We have starter cut out, and I will wait for a second because I have again problem with my flight plan. So I will need to resend it once again. So go to SimBrief and send it via WhatSim. Okay, it should be right now okay without any further problems, so I will reconnect myself, and Okay, anytime. In the meanwhile, we can put the flaps 5. We can do the before taxi procedure to line, and with the communications ground from cockpit, we have two good stable engines. You may disconnect and remove the chokes. See you in front of the airplane. Bye. Okay, so that's it. Basically, flaps 5 green light we have, and before taxi procedures are performed like this now. Can verify the isolation valve. It's okay. Put start switches to continuous, and now we can perform the checklist. And the checklist says generators on, probe it on, isolation valve auto, engine start switches continuous, auto brake, RTO, engine start, levers idle, detent. So before taxi checklist complete to line. We can check the hydraulic system and the flight controls. They are moving quite okay. This is perfect. APU switch off. Press recall and blank global display unit. Checklist below the line. So we have recall checked, flight controls checked, and ground equipment. As you can see on the right side there is nothing there, and on the left side there is as well nothing there. And now we have to decide where to move. I will go via left side. It should looks reasonable for me, but we have to check if there is still problems with nose wheel steering. No, it's okay. It's no problem. That's perfect. So again, this is not correct procedure. This should be done by a pushback, but as you can see, we are nearly on the idle thrust. So and there is there is no ground personnel, there is no ground equipment, there is no airplanes boarding and so on. So we can perform it like this way without any further problems. So now I will check it again on the WATSPI, the Vagar airport. Okay, and we have nobody overhead Vagar airport, so it should be quite okay. There's basically nobody out here, so that's fine. And we should have 122.8. That's okay. And imagine that our cabin crew is very quick and they are quite okay. So cabin galley is secured. We can perform the before takeoff procedure, reset the fuel flow, put the terrain on pilot monitoring side, and do the before takeoff checklist. Flaps is 5, green light, and stabilizer 5.5 units. So before takeoff checklist complete. we are clear to enter the runway, and runway positively identified. It's runway 30 and 12 on the other direction, so basically we are turning to the next direction. And now in this stage, on some airports we've got a clearance. Okay, so the copilot will make FMC changes, or let's say the CDU changes, and perform new runway analysis, reset the MCP, and put the transponder mode. So departure as briefed, MCP set, and transponder we have set, so that's okay. So it looks like that the runway is a little bit wet. So we check the weather conditions once again, and maybe we will adjust it. There is nothing depicted that there is some areas, but anyway, we can put it like this way. I forget to put the acceleration altitude to weather runway. Takeoff speeds are deleted. Yes, I know about this fact. And now we put the new speeds. It's 123, 132, and 141. So basically that's it. Okay, and we are prepared for departure. Okay, we are on the departure end of the runway. Like here, there is no turning path depicted right over here, but as you can see, right now we have some turning path, so we can make it turn right over here, but we should be very precise with the turn. So now we are back. I need to reject the takeoff because the O-ring lights was illuminated, and it's old PMDG bug since 2000, or let's say from 3000 below the Christ. So I have sometimes the feeling that they put the old model into the new platform, and that's it. So that's basically okay. But what I need to do when I perform reject takeoff, I need to press the brakes to hold manually, otherwise we have hot brakes and we are not allowed to perform the another departure. So we will check it once again. Like this one, we can put the auto brake to RTO. We will see if it is okay. It's okay, everything is fine. Again, start the flight time, put engines into the stable mode condition. And now we can we have N1 toga and it's okay, basically. So 80 knots check. V1 rotate. We have positive rate, gear up. It's quite okay. And again, I am breaking the rules all the time. I put it into the L now, autopilot A engaged, and look at the nice Vagar. There are basically no trees right over there. And this is the valley I was talking to you about. Then in case of engine failure we will proceed via this valley, but then after I will reconsider to Vagar point. And what I did a mistake, it was to put the Vagar, which is right over here, and okay, it's not there, it's on the approach. Vagar, as you can see, we may accelerate the airplane. As you can see, maybe you will see you can see we'll proceed straight ahead because there are no mountains, and then directly to the sea, so that's okay. It's my fault. It's my fault, definitely my fault. That's why we are two on board to what is it with the Lex page? Me NDB, okay, me NDB into here because me it's called my coming, and it's called its definition for holding pattern. Okay, so that's why that was the discontinuity right over there depicted. So that's it. So we have flaps up, no light. Can put this one. And now we can perform the after takeoff checklist. Engine bleeds are on, PEX auto, landing gear up and off, flaps up, no light, and after takeoff checklist complete to line. We can put it into the VNAV. Why the checklist after takeoff checklist is divided below to line and below the line? Because to line and checklist below the line and the rest of the checklist, because when you are coming to line, it should be properly done by flight level 100 in order to ensure the pressurization is working normally. And some airports, as you can see right now, we have transition altitudes at standard, reading flight level 87 now. It was checked, altimeter set and cross check, so check this below the line, altimeter set and cross check. Why? Because some airports, for example like in Sofia, you have 12,000 feet 12,000 feet of transition altitude. What does it mean? It means that if you perform checklist with this condition after 12,000 feet and pressurization airplane is not working normally, so you have a really bad situation. Okay, flight level 100, we reset the minimums, we put the lights off, that's okay. We adjust the temperature of the cabin a little bit, wait for the en route climb speed. Look at the nice clouds today we have. Okay, we can get rid of the radio now aids from navigation display and put there what is essential for us, and that's airports. Okay, but there are basically no airports right over here. So again, strategy. What will be our strategy? Okay, so I will put flight from sim brief like here, And as you can see, it basically, if we have engine failure, it has no common sense to come back to Vagar and make let's say approach with one engine in operative right over there. So we'll try if we reach within 60 minutes Keflavik, or we can for example can divert to what are the nearest airports. No, not this one, this one not as well. This is not big airport. I think that the best solution will be Glasgow Airport right here now, right now. EKVG. Okay, so we will see what happened. Okay, so what we are going to do: fix page. As I said before, 360 nautical miles. It's wandering, and okay, if we have fire or if the airplane is unsafe to fly, we without any discussion to Vagar. Okay, so that's another story. Okay, so this is the Glasgow airport. So as you can see, we are right between the circles. So we may decide where to fly in order to divert to Glasgow, or we can performing into the Keflavik. But in case of any reason, I will perform the flight to Keflavik because they have facilities, they have everything right over that airport. So I like that airport much, and that's beautiful scenery. So another point of view. Okay, we check the weather with within the Keflavik. We have 279er, or let's say I will put it right here for you, and I will read it. So we have wind conditions 270 at 10 knots, visibility more than 10 kilometers, scattered 1000, broken 1700, or 17,000 feet, or let's say flight level 70, and broken as well. It's on high clouds, 21,000 feet. So it's I don't know why they are depicted this procedure into the chart. It really makes no sense. Temperature is 9, QNH 1007. Okay, so 1007, we can pre-select it right over here, and we can pre-select it into the descent forecast page 1007. We can request descent, the wind conditions. We'll prepare the airplane, and then we will be little bit with the easiest way talking about the situation, what is the fuel on board, and which fuel you should have on board. Anyway, we revert it, so flight unload, that's okay. We can put it, can delete it. We can put Keflavik. Keflavik is right over here, so that's pretty fine, pretty cool. That's okay. I will check it with WhatSpy if there is any traffic controller. There is nobody out there, so we can choose the runway according to our liking. So briefly, noise abatement preferential runway system is 01 and 19er. Okay, so this is the preferential runway system. but our wind condition, and as I saw within here right now, it's 10 knots. So if we use 1.9er, we have 10 knots crosswind. Nighttime restriction, surface movement, stop bars, everything general. It's okay. Construction works, we have some. It's okay. So runway to 8 should be okay for us. So in this case we are arriving via star, which is coming from Nesbu point, and Nesbu point is for runway 19er. This is for runway 10. Okay, so there are the mainly runway with preferential system. Okay, and Nesbu for November is for runway 01. Did I miss something? Yes, no, the first one. This is valid for us. Okay, so it's Nesbu 1 hotel and Nesbu 1 hotel, and we can pick up let's make it RMP approach, so basically that's no problem. So departure arrival, RMP approach, runway to 8, we have Nesbu 1 hotel and Nesbu 1 hotel. If you can see here, the last point is Adova, so Adova point is right here, so we are proceeding via Adova. Okay, and that's it. And if you look at the chart back, we should have transition level in this case above flight level 1, or let's say transition altitude is 7,000 feet. Okay, so so we can put transition level, for example, because QNH is quite low, I put 2 levels out, so transition level will be 9.0. It's my rough computations. Okay, so that's it. What we can do, we can just check the significant weather charts and what is depicted right over there, because we should have some problems right over there, but there is no severe icing or turbulence right over here. So now Keflavik weather should be pretty fine and pretty okay. So we will very quickly adjust everything, so 2 tones down, so 55 will be here, flap 30, it's enough, wind speed +5, that means that 141 will be approach speed. So I will delete from fixed page Glasgow, because if something happens we are going directly to Keflavik point, sorry, Keflavik airport. So AirNow, we have AirNow 1 GNSS, so GPS should be workable for us. That's pretty okay. We have flap settings set. What we have to need to set is the rest for runway to 8, so to 84. So to 84, that's okay. Auto brake 2 is enough. We have strong headwind component, that's okay, and Keflavik VOR is 112.8, 112.8, so just in case of something, 112.8, that's okay, and 160 to 4 nautical miles, so okay, if you would like, I have no problem. So Keflavik and 40 nautical miles and 10 nautical miles in order to have the proper deceleration, and this is our descending altitude. Okay, that's fine. So that's quite okay. Missed approach was briefed. Airport elevation 200, as I said before, it was okay, and we have 3 degrees glide path with final approach fix, which is Ardal, so that's basically okay. So as we have using LNAV VNAV minimums, temperature was quite okay. So we are using 450. So we have 1000 to level off, that's quite okay. I believe I will check with the operational flight plan, because we can go to 380, and if there is any difference with wind conditions within flight level 380, but as I can see, 380 has less headwind component that so I will put 380 right there, 380 right over here, so we can go and climb to flight level 380, 380 as well here to save some fuel. Okay, so basically that's it, and now we are going back and look at the fuel, because most of you are doing it in proper way. I saw many of YouTube videos, and the guys are putting the fuel right over there, like he put on the sim brief extra 500 additional, and that's it. But it's not in real life, it's not working like this one. In real life, you've got the operational flight plan, and from operational flight plan you checked the weather, NOTAMs, everything. If you need some extra fuel additional, and be aware of the fact that always you need some extra fuel additional. It matters, for example, if you have everything is okay, 500 kilograms, it's approximately for 15 minutes of holding, so that's okay, that's pretty quiet. It's low fuel policy. If you are considering LVO approach, so 1000 kilograms, so 30 minutes additional will be quite okay for you. Now if you look at the picture, you can see that we have the trip fuel to Keflavik. What is the trip fuel? Trip fuel is basically the fuel which is when you press toggle button for climb, cruise, descent, landing and taxi to the gate. So this is the trip fuel. Okay. Now there is contingency fuel. I will skip it for time being and go to alternate fuel. Alternate fuel is the fuel when you press toggle button with MDA, so with or DA or decision altitude, you press the toggle button, wait for miss approach point, or let's say execute go around, and you are going from phase which you are losing your height into the climb, and this point is called SOTS. It starts of climb point, and from this point it's calculating the fuel for climbing, cruising, descending and landing to your destination alternate airport. The final reserves are, we can divide it into the propeller and jet airplanes. The propeller airplanes have the fuel for 45 minutes in 1500 feet above aerodrome elevation for holding. For airplanes which are jets like Airbus or Boeing, the final reserve it's approximately 30 minutes of holding over the destination airfield within 30 minutes. Okay, and that's if we count all this fuel, we have to add additional fuel which is for taxi, and for taxi your dispatcher may adjust it, because he's, for example, well known that if you are taxi from Fiumicino or Gatwick and you are number 10 for departure, you burn much more than is usual, and usual taxi fuel is around 200 kilograms. So basically there is the taxi fuel. If you count all this fuel with this contingency, which I skip right now, we've got the minimum block fuel. This is the minimum fuel you should have on the board. Okay, and now we are going to take an pilot in command extra fuel, and that's why it's dashed, because you fill it additionally and you put the reason why. Okay, so as you can see, we have landing fuel, landing weight 62.7 ton, so we can take an extra fuel of, let's say, 2 tons. Okay, roughly. So if we are expecting the overall traffic or thunderstorm activity or low visibility procedures, or we have some problems with the airplane, so in this case, what we are going to do, we are going to take extra fuel additional. But be aware of the fact, if you put we have minimum block fuel of 7,000 kilograms roughly, and if I put 11,000 kilograms, I will exceed my structural landing weight. And I am not talking right now about performance limiting landing weight, because it may differs. For example, if you are flying to Skiathos airport, your performance limiting landing weight will be much lower than your structural limit landing weight. So in Keflavik, basically it's a very long runway, and we have plenty of runways, so we hardly exceed the structural. That means that we can take additional for 30 minutes of holding. Okay, so this is the basic explanation of the fuel. So what you can do, you have 7,000 of minimum block fuel. Okay, it's minimum block fuel. This Simbri flight planning Lido, it's quite okay, it's perfect, but in real companies we are using different operational flight plans, and in these flight plans we have all informations which are necessary. So I will decide it to put there for example 1 ton extra, so I will take 8,000 kilograms. So we should have roughly, if you look at the FMC, and right now we can, for example, check the holding and check the holding over the waypoint, for example Adova. Okay, and if you look, we have holding available 1 hour and 45 minutes. So that means it's because we are in level which we have a less headwind component that it's instructed. But what is here now doing? So we need to scroll it a little bit down, otherwise we hit the bar pole, and I don't like the situation. 0.7778, so it's okay, and now we can put it into the VNAV mode back again, because the airplane sometimes it's performing within yourself. And what we are discussing now is what is the reserve fuel and what is the difference between reserve fuel and FMC reserve fuel. Okay, so FMC reserve fuel is always final reserve plus alternate. Okay, that's why you have 2,800 kilograms. So if you count the final reserve, which is 1053 plus 1779, you've got the number 2832, and this is the FMC reserve fuel. Why we are using the FMC reserve fuel? It's because of two reasons. If we have only FMC reserve, and the FMC will put in the scratch pad a message that using reserve fuel, that means that we have to reconsider ourselves and tell to the ATC that we have to land. Otherwise, if we don't land, we have to perform the procedure and go to our alternate airport, and we are declaring minimum fuel status. It's not a mayday, it's not pen code, but you have priority for the landing before the other traffic. If for some reasons you burn the fuel and you have only 1 tons as a final reserve, it's mayday code. Okay, so you have to declare the mayday, and it's subject of investigations within the CAA. So that's FMC reserve. But reserve fuel as it is, and I will put it a little bit mess for you, is final reserve plus alternate and plus contingency fuel. So this is your final reserve. And now we are coming to contingency fuel. And what is the contingency fuel? As you can see, we have contingency within 5 minutes. And right now I'm coming to the point in which the company, or let's say EASA, because this is not valid for FAA, this is valid for EASA. If EASA gives us the opportunity to choose the fuel, the contingency fuel, it will be always the lowest, sorry, it will be always let's say it should be always higher of some amount of the fuel. Okay, and this is quite a tricky situation because uh, I will not go deep into the detail because it will be too much for you, but be aware of the fact that sometimes in some countries, for example, like in the countries when are heavy thunderstorm activities and isolated CBs, and they need to avoid the 5% of the fuel is not enough. So they can apply to Civil Aviation Authority that, hey guys, we need to take contingency fuel, for example, for 20 or 15 minutes additional. So that means that you don't have 200 kilograms, but you have 600 kilograms as the contingency fuel. But this application it's conditional, and you have to approve it with the statistical methods. Okay, and then you will be approved to do so. The basic of the contingency fuel is that you are using 5% of the trip fuel. Okay, and contingency fuel is the fuel which is on board in case of unpredictable situation, like avoiding weather, to have some system malfunction. You have to hold over the present position within 1 or 2 minutes in order to solve the problems, or you have to descend to lower altitude, which you have higher consumptions, and so on and so on. So contingency fuel is for unpredictable situations. Okay, and there are some exceptions within the EASA, and it's really hard to understand what they are meaning with this paragraph, but be aware of one fact, that you can reduce your contingency fuel if you would like to do so for 3%. But this reduced contingency fuel, it's in case that you have fuel en route alternate aerodrome, which is available within the circle. I will put the picture right there above, and then you can reduce your contingency fuel from 5% to 3% in order to increase the payload. But for me it doesn't make sense, because if you have 20 kilograms on board, or 200 kilograms of contingency or 250, it really doesn't matter. Okay, so as well, it should be as well amount to fly for 5 minutes at holding speed at 1500 feet above the destination aerodrome in standard conditions, again whichever is higher. So we will put 5% or 3% from contingency fuel, or let's say we can make it with statistical method. We can amount to fly for 5 minutes at holding speed above the destination aerodrome in standard conditions, but this is let's say the standard definition. And I'm really sorry guys, I cannot find if you find something about the reduced contingency fuel, just let me know. But I have the last documentations from EASA operational procedures, and there is nothing stated about there. So in our case, if you look at the chart, and if you look at the chart properly, we have contingency minutes 5 minutes overhead destination airport, so that means that it's 2019 kilograms. Okay, so that means that it's less, so it's higher than 5%. Okay, I know it's a little bit complicated, but anyway, this is like thing works, and I'm as well not happy for that situation, but we have to accept it like it is. So now we are preparing, we are prior to top of descent point, so we can delete 200 nautical miles, and we can make some preparation for landing. So Nasbu 1 hotel, so from Nasbu we are going to Ertir, flight level 110 or above, Keflavik 127, always pilot monitoring, scrolling down the points, 127, that's okay, 328 should be the next one, with 7,000 feet exactly, that's perfect, and that's Adava point with 230, and altitude should be about 3,500, but below 6,000 feet. But as you can see, FMC computed for us that it's quite okay. So 250 below flight level 100. As I said before, we have to have the standalone GPS for this particular AirNav approach. Nowadays everybody is flying AirNav approach, and nobody knows how to fly the conventional airport approach, so it's a pity. But anyway, airport elevation, we have 200, final approach course 284. We have misapproach straight ahead to Levra, then to Topsy, join the publish hold. So basically that's it, but the Topsy point should be within lost of communications, otherwise you have to go straight ahead and contact radar, and they will give you the guidance, but as we have nobody out here, we can make ourselves procedure. Puppy we should have on both sides. We have high intensity approach light systems with rail, so it's quite okay. We should see the runway from high above. Descent angle is basically 3 degrees, and bar minimums we have set, so everything was readied. In case of something happens, we have pre-selected a VOR, because you have always have the VOR when you are performing RMP approach, and as a backup we have ILS frequency in case of something happens. Okay, so that's basically it. Holding fill was discussed, auto brake is set on 2, everything is set up, and yeah, that's it. So basically we are good to descend anytime. We have descent speed 256. Okay, well, I don't like this number, too slow for me. So now we can perform the descent checklist, and descent checklist is recall checked. Auto brake we have on 2, landing data we have for flap 30 136 and approach speed 141, and we have minimums 450, which is right now, and approach briefing is completed, so descent checklist is complete right now. So we can see, we can watch if there is anybody out on the WATSIM, or we are only allowed. Oh, one traffic is departing right over here. It's somebody flying to Copenhagen. But he was departing from runway 19er, so he used the preferential runway system, as we are not using right now. Sometimes it could happen that you have, but not with it now, but with conventional procedures, that you have a big mess big mess right over here, and you have to somehow tidy up in order to fly the airplane. I will upload the video to my flight to Zakynthos. As you can see, I was really considering for a long time if I disregard one point, and if this intermediate point is okay for us, because it's a flyby point, and in some cases it was clearly stated that another point was initial approach fixed point, and it leads to bring the airplane into the higher condition. But anyway, the time changes, and there, since I am not flying, and the airplanes are, or let's say the aviations are coming to new era, and there is a lot of discrepancies, and a lot of big mess and misunderstanding, and many national authorities are complaining to ICAO and EASA. Please do something with it, because it's unacceptable. We don't know what we are going to do. So what we are allowed to accept, what we are not allowed to accept. So basically, this it's these times. For example, I will tell you right now. As you can see, you have depicted RMP runway 28. It's perfect, because it's not national folklore. It's all the RMP approaches, but please be aware of the fact that AirNav approach doesn't exist. There are only RMP approach, and if you would like to perform RMP approach, you should have S-bus systems with LPV minimums, or you should have standalone GPS like Boeing 737. So that means it's not based from geostationary satellites, and all the charts should be named by RMP, runway, and depicted the number. If there is authorization required, it should be right here RMP AR runway 28, and that means that you have to check this chart if you need to have the database with proper coding of radius to fixed point, and if your crew is qualified, your airplane is qualified, and your documentations on board are as well approved by CAA, and so on and so on. So today I am talking a little bit more, so I will shut down for few minutes. So as you can see, we have now nice clouds. Sorry, I promised you to shut down. Shut up, okay? And with another video, we'll be explaining we'll be explaining it, how the flight is planning and how much fuel do we need, or let's say what are our destination, how to properly plan or select the destination alternate airport, and what are the cases and so on. What I didn't mention is additional fuel on board, and this additional fuel on board, and let me check it because I'm always forget about it. This additional fuel on board, it's amount of the fuel that must be certified for 15 minutes of holding at 1500 above destination airport elevation in standard conditions if a destination alternate is not required, and procedure following possible engine failure or loss of cabin pressure based on the assumption that such failure occurs at the most critical point along the route, and descend to the required altitude in flight to adequate airport, holding there for 15 minutes at 1500 feet above. So basically all our fuel computations cover this additional fuel on board. What we are not discussing now is flying to isolated aerodrome, which is the aerodrome in which the fuel or let's say the fuel to your destination alternate is much more than fuel within 2 hours of fuel consumption, but that's another story. If you have, for example, the airport which has 2 separate runways, and it's not NOTAMs right over there, so you can perform this flight without selected the alternate airport. Okay, so you can skip the alternate fuel. And also they should be met some requirements regarding uh, to the weather conditions. It should be clearly stated and depicted right over there that okay, there is 1 hour prior to departure and 1 hour after departure weather conditions at or above let's see, I guess circling minimals, or I didn't saw the EASA ops material for a long time, so basically something like that. So that's why I'm using leader flight plan, and with leader flight plan my advice to you is I can start the sim brief again, and my flight plan, read flight, and I will use units kilograms, contingency fuel EASA, reserve fuel for 30 minutes because it's reasonable. Okay, for me, because we are jets and EASA says it's 30 minutes, so I don't know why it is here 45-60 minutes. It should be 30 minutes and that's it. So that's it, and so this is my procedure. So it works somehow, and if you are flying to isolated aerodrome, that means that you have no destination destination alternate available. You have so-called point of no return. Okay, so your dispatcher should calculate the point of no return for you, and since that point, if something happens, you are reverting back, and if you are behind the point, you are going further away. Within the Europe, basically, we don't have such an airport. Okay, we don't have such an airport, but what we have, it's the airport which is for example Svalbard airport, and this airport nearly it's considered to be the airport which fill this requirement. So what they put it here, 280. Okay, so change over to 280. That's okay, that's quite fine. Okay, so how are we performing? Level change. And as well, another discussion is ETOPS flights, but I didn't flew ETOPS flight in real life. I am not approved, so in this case, I am not allowed to explain you what is the ETOPS route. I am always explaining to you what I have flown and what I am qualified for. So in this case, you receive the facts that are crucial for you, and I am not telling you to sit on the computer and for example try to press some knobs, and that's why I'm talking to ETOPS flight, as I have never really sit in a real airplane, and I don't have the proper examination and cruises for ETOPS flight. So that's why I am fully aware of the ETOPS flights, because it's part of the ATPL. I know what is it because as I finished the University of Aviation, I am fully aware of the ETOPS flight and how are they planning, calculating, what are the diversion airports, and so on and so on. But I will not explain it to you because I am not allowed to do so. It's my personal opinion. So we are approaching beautiful island. Did you somehow realize why the island, or Iceland, it's called Iceland, so Iceland, Island, it's Iceland, and it's all the green country, and Greenland, it's all covered with snow, and it's called Greenland? It's completely crazy. I was a little bit confused about the situation. Yeah, so basically that's it. So we can use a little bit of the speed brakes, right? We can see right now within the overhead, and we can proceed direct to the next waypoint, which could be flight level 100 at or above. We can put it into the VNAV page, and as you can see from picture above, the Boeing 737 has 4 flight spoilers, each on the sides, and if you lose your hydraulic system, for example B, two of them are not in operative on each side, and 2 of them are operative, and this condition it's as well while you are performing normal flight. So we stow the speed brakes. So now it's okay. The country looks very beautiful and luxury. We have some thunderstorm activity in front of us, which I don't like, so I will check it with the aviation weather chart. Now there's nothing depicted over there. 1018, that's slightly changed the QNH, but that's basically okay. We are approaching flight level 100, so we put the lights on. That's okay. We can cool down a little bit cabin in order not to have a shock for passengers, and that's it. We recycle cabin crew to prepare for the landing. And as you can see, we can go directly to 7,000 feet, but it's 7,000, okay? So I will put 7,000, and as we pass this waypoint, we can go down a little bit more. So 250 below flight level 100, that's pretty fine and cool. That's what I like. We can put standard and to achieve the 7,000, okay? But what I will see on this these clouds in front of us, it looks like cumulonimbus. And I can check it, but there is nothing depicted right over the meter. I can give you I can give you basically the number. But there is nothing stated over there, and I check it with so let's fly the airplane, okay? 7,000 feet, and From 7,000 we can go to 3,500. Okay, so quickly I will check it with the sky vector web page if there are any isolated cumulonimbus depicted over the island, and there is nothing stated, so I don't know from which source these clouds are coming from. But be sure in real life, if you can see the clouds like this one, you should avoid them. Avoid them, definitely avoid them. But anyway, we are going down, so we will see. We have 1000 to level off. Lights are on. Cabin is preparing for the landing. Everything looks fine. And as we are on the QNH, so 7500 feet right now, that's okay. Altimeter set and cross check, so approach checklist altimeters QNH 1018 set and cross check, so approach checklist we have completed right now. Okay, we can go to 3000. What was the altitude? 3500. Okay, 3500. We can swap to the RMP28 like this one. We should have 230 and from point Flawik 1 to 8, which is this one. Maybe we can go like Keflavik to 8. We have Keflavik to 8. Yes. So with these two waypoints, it's 3500 feet as well. But from this waypoint, which is right here, we can go down to 2500 feet of altitude, so that's okay. Wow, this is really nice. Oh, it's amazing. Some lake over there. Okay, so put it like now. Check it right over here, and as I said before, from this point, which is the first one, 3500, next 2500. Okay, so after this point 2500, and we may decelerate. So I will put speed brakes. However, we have the headwind component. I don't know why the airplane won't decelerate. In real life, with headwind component, the airplane will decelerate, and we are out of the cloud, so that's perfect. Okay, so anyway, go to 2500, and we can go with flaps 1. It looks like he won't decelerate. I don't know why. So we can put flaps 2, and from this point to other point 1800. Okay, So we can pre-select 1800 right over here, and we can go directly to flaps 5 and flaps 10 and retract the speed brakes. And we have 162 DME as was depicted on the chart, and 3000 feet was mid approach altitude. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so runway is inside. It's quite okay. Okay, I don't know why if he is with V-now speed. Anyway, get down flaps 15. We can put engine start switches to continuous speed brake arm. I'll put it in the stop position like this one, and he should go down a little bit in order to catch the V-now path, because he was keeping the altitude much way above, and now we are approaching, so we can go to 500, and as we have 3000 feet, we can revert it into the mid approach altitude. So heading set, mid approach altitude set, checklist, landing engine start switches, continuous speed brake arm, landing gear down, flaps 15, holding on flaps. Okay, so that's fine. Can put flaps 25. We can see we have crosswind of 15 knots right now. I don't know why. And we have flaps 30 and 141. So we may disconnect the autopilot, recycle the flight director switches. That's okay, and deselect the speed, and we should have 141. So 141, it's exactly right over there. So fully focus on the landing. We have crosswind from left side of 8 knots. As you can see, puppy discrepancy with the puppy on the left and the right side. Minimums way of landing. Okay, now we have headwind component, so it's okay.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Okay, we are on ground. Putting the reverse thrust. Press manual braking, auto brake disarm, 60 knots, closing the reverse. That's okay, it's quite perfect. So we are coming out of the active airplane, so stop the flight time and put the lights. That's it, and transponder switch to standby mode. That's it, and once the taxi routing is confirmed, we can perform the after landing procedure. It's this one. It's okay, weather should be fine. We can put the flaps to completely up position, and left side is clear, right side is clear. That's quite okay. I don't know what this lamp is doing on taxiway. Anyway, we have to accept it, and the copilot will always adjust these trim settings, but I will focus on taxiway, so it's his responsibility. And as you can see, I don't understand it, because in real life, and this is the problem with Zibo mod and PMDG as well. In real life, if we are flying such these conditions that I have 1000 kilograms in forward cargo compartment and 2000 on the back, that leads us into no situation that we are out of the green band, for example. So we need to let's say put it a little bit the trim setting to the aft position, because we are heavy on the nose. I don't know why this situation was, but as a Zibo I realized that if I put the full cabin empty, and because you have no setup flight deck, the boat pilots are the weight of the boat pilots are 630 kilograms, so that's quite a lot. So via Charlie 3 to the apron. Put a clock into the hold page? Yes. Okay. Ah, that somebody's taking out from Keflavik. I need to stop it right there because I don't know. Okay, I will continue. Yeah, there are plenty of arrivals. Wow. So we'll continue to remote stand because I like remote stands, as I flew for cheap companies and low cost companies. So it's my pleasure. Okay, we can check the chart. Parking stands on the apron. We are coming from November 13, and we should pick up, for example, right this one stand, which is 79er. 79er. Okay, it should be our stand. So lights off. But 79er is divided to left and 79er to the right, so I will pick up this classical stand. Okay, so I don't see the VDS, it's not working for me. Oh, it's my bad. Cause I don't know how to activate it. I need to help my guys from Discord. Okay, maybe we are safely on the stand. So we put the parking brakes, one engine down, and via menu, setup services, and set chokes, ground power request. So we are okay. Can see we have a little bit more pressure. I don't know why we have such a temperature, but anyway, it's okay. So ground power here, like this one. Put it on bus. Shut off the engine number 1, and okay, stop the block time, release the passengers, anti-collision lights off, should be off. Okay, we have transponder on standby 2000, and basically that's it. So we can call the within the services, we can call stairs, passenger bus deploying to 0, and all this to 0, 0, and now we can perform the shutdown checklist.
Okay, for traffic that 6 and 8, 5 miles on runway 1
I forget about the landing checklist, and just starts which is speed brake, landing gear and flaps, but you both know about this procedure. So shutdown checklist: fuel pumps off, probe is off, hydraulic panel set, flaps are up, and parking brake is released, engine start levers, car weather off, and mobile phone on. So shutdown checklist complete. Okay, who was talking about? Was somebody talking on frequency? And somebody was departing. I don't see the airplane, departing airplane. Let me check on the chart. So in 1 minute it will be one arrival, and with 1 hour that should be 3 arrivals. So so maybe I can see the guy who is arriving, but I don't know which runway he will use. Sorry. We can make it like this one, and just check it. It's 2907 knots, so we should be arriving from this side. If we don't use the preferential runway system with crosswind component, you should arrive with this side. Yeah, he was here right now. So he was approaching runway 19er, I guess so. Yeah, he was landing with preferential runway system on a runway 19er. Oh, it's okay. It's quite fine. No problems. QNH is rising, but on Keflavik is always a low pressure area, a low pressure system. So that's basically okay. Now, how we are with deploying? Okay, so we can release it. Packs are released, so we can secure the airplane. Stairs okay, but the doors will closed, and that's it. So IRS is off, mini utility pass switch off, emergency exit light off, window heat off, trimmer switch off, packs off, this off. That's okay, so we can put the GPU to off position and basically switch off the battery, and yes, we are successfully parked and secured the airplane on the Keflavik. I hope you like this video. Leave any comment below if you have any. So have a nice day, bye bye.